Pharaoh Djoser is one of the most significant, yet unsung pharaohs in Kemetic history. His reign is responsible for the building of the oldest known pyramid in Egypt, the Step Pyramid of Saqqara. But how did this great pharaoh of old appear to his contemporaries? A life-size depiction of Djoser, now housed in the Museum of Cairo, is probably his most famous depiction, regal and dominant in presentation, but unfortunately, like so many other Egyptian artworks, sabotaged, with the eyes and nose being entirely vandalized. Fortunately, this is not his only depiction, as we were able to uncover a number of reliefs giving us a glimpse of what his nose and face may have looked like. This reconstruction is the first to consolidate the various depictions of Djoser into a single lifelike portrait, and for the first time, provide us with a glimpse of the great pharaoh's countenance during his prosperous 29-year reign. Thank you for joining the King's Monologue. Like, share and subscribe for more of the same. According to Metatron, this is a black man. So, if you were unfortunate enough to have been born with fairer or darker skin than this quote-unquote very good-looking black man, then you are not black. You are something else, apparently. In reality, Africans are the oldest people on the planet, proven by anthropology, and a majority of human existence has played out on the African continent. As a result, the phenotypic and genotypic diversity in, say, Nigeria alone, exceeds most of Europe and Asia, and the diversity on the African continent itself greatly exceeds the entire world. For this reason, variation previously believed to be inherited from some kind of foreign admixture is in fact indigenous and normally a telltale sign of foreign inheritance from Africa. Skin color, feature thickness, limb proportion, hair texture, hair color, and feature set all have indigenous variety on the continent that greatly exceeds what is seen around the world, proving that this is perhaps an example but not the definition of a black man. This is a common African hairstyle. These are ancient Egyptians in a barber applying this African hairstyle. This is an ancient Egyptian wig based on this common African hairstyle. This is how Africans until this day use gold adornments and customized jewelry to decorate their braids, locks, and twists. These are gold adornments from ancient Egypt designed to decorate their braids, locks, and twists. And this is, well, delusional. This is the creation of Eurocentric curators in an attempt to make a purely African hair accessory work with modern Eurasian hair. This creation has no bearing or representation in ancient Kemet. It's disappointing but typical that modern curators chose to misappropriate these African accessories in a completely unrealistic manner, rather than use the established representations of wigs and hairstyles that are countlessly depicted throughout ancient Egypt. The African origin of ancient Egyptian pharaohs has already been proven by genetic analysis. In February 2010, a research team led by Dr. Hawass conducted an autosomal DNA analysis of several new kingdom mummies. The mummies included Tut, Thuya, Amenhotep III, Yuya, other Amarna mummies, and some mummies from the Ramesside dynasty in the pharaonic lineage. In 2014, independent researchers utilized the matching algorithms of existing STR databases to conduct an analysis on the autosomal DNA results published by Dr. Hawass in February 2010. The results were definite and conclusive. All of the pharaonic mummies clustered incontrovertibly close to modern sub-Saharan Africans at a rate of 70 to 94% genetic affinity. On average, the pharaonic mummies were 10 to 20 times more likely to be related to modern continental Africans than modern Near Eastern or Eurasian populations. Kemet was an African achievement and not the result of some foreign incursion. Many proponents of Eurocentric Egyptology have argued erroneously that the dark hue that has become synonymous with the bust of Queen T was the result of the natural darkening of yew wood used during its construction. However, this is demonstrably false in that with even a cursory observation, it is obvious that the bust has been deliberately varnished. This is reflected in the different colors shown in the bands of her crown, her eyebrows, her eyeballs, her pupils, and even her lips. In fact, the high sheen finish and visible brush strokes prove that this is not untreated wood, as is being implied, but rather an accurate and deliberate rendition of color chosen by a skilled artist. This is further supported in additional renditions of Queen T, showing her in the same dark brown tone, where multiple color tones are also present, proving the original color has indeed been preserved. That is why this rendition of Queen T is indeed accurate. The ancient Egyptian civilization, indigenously known as Kemet, punctuated by their exquisite artwork and architecture, has captivated the attention and imagination of the world since time began. However, when it comes to their own depictions and timeless artwork, these are often totally ignored in media and educational resources, opting for a more modern, less authentic reproduction, regardless of historical accuracy. In response to this, modern reconstruction artists are challenging the status quo by making reconstructions that honor the skilled portraiture of Kemet and recreating the faces of this great African civilization by giving prominence to the countless statues, papyrus, and reliefs that they use to depict themselves, often in meticulous detail. The results so far have been astonishing. Subscribe for detailed walkthroughs of our reconstruction processes. Hairstyles in ancient Egypt were one of the many ways the Egyptians distinguished themselves as a distinctively African civilization. Of the numerous hairstyles donned by the men of Kemet, the most popular by far was the short twist. Egyptologists, for obvious reasons, have often speculated that this hairstyle was a wig, emulating Kushite hair, but this has never been substantiated by any evidence. In reality, it is well known that this is a popular hairstyle that permeated continental Africa. Bronze artworks from Benin illustrate the commonality of the short twist being worn in similar concentric rows on various depictions. A variation of this style can be found amongst the Afar men of Ethiopia, where the twists are also substantially lengthened. This style is also reflected in Kemetic artwork, but by far the most notable example of this style was captured contemporaneously by Roman artists in exquisite bronze busts portraying the distinctly African appearance of the ancient Egyptians. Archaeologists have routinely ignored all pictorial evidence and numerous eyewitness descriptions of the ancient Egyptians in favor of politically motivated choices regarding phenotype and skin color. This reconstruction of King Tut does what is seemingly obvious and gives the portraits and artworks primary authority in terms of his appearance. They exhibit a previously unseen continuity and consistency between multiple representations and seem to show an affinity to the remains of his mummy. We already know what he looked like, as King Tut's artworks are all phenotypically consistent with modern Nilotic East Africans. This is something also made evident by his mummy, which is almost stereotypically Nilotic. Forensic facial reconstruction has been proven to be inaccurate and agenda-driven in isolation, so this, in actuality, is the most scientifically sound reproduction of the Boy King. Share this with someone who'd benefit. Subscribe for more of the same.
How I finally created an accurate reconstruction of Tutankhamun that actually looks like his portraits. Modern reconstructions are not built to be accurate. They don't even fit over his skull without massive prosthetic distortion. In an effort to hide the clear prognathism that is typical of Africans from the region, they tilt his skull and elongate his nose. You will notice, when overlaid with his mummy, they have completed repositioned his eyes and the length of his nose. Not to mention it looks nothing like his portraits. This would not have been necessary had they just used his actual portraits. All of the 400 busts of Tutankhamun are able to perfectly fit his mummy without any change or distortion to his features required. It leaves you to wonder what the motive could have been in creating this unrealistic deformity and claiming it was a reconstruction. When I created this reconstruction based purely on one of the hundreds of available busts, matching the features and skin tone, not only did it perfectly overlay with his portraits, but it also perfectly matched his skull and mummy without any distortion. Who would have thought you could get a consistent and accurate reconstruction by simply honoring his likeness?
A particularly striking example of an Egyptian headrest can be seen in one of the 8 headrests found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. Interestingly, the design of the headrest found in Egypt is unique among African ethnicities. Headrests are an integral part of the continent's rich cultural heritage. Ancient Greeks and Romans preferred to recline on pillows filled with feather, reed, or straw. In contrast to this, headrests across the African continent share a common origin and consistent application. Examples of African headrests include the Somali Boni headrest, the Ghanaian Akan headrest, the Zimbabwean Shona headrest, and the Ethiopian Bashin. The use of headrest provides many benefits, including comfort and support. Moreover, headrests are used to protect their coiffures from being disturbed during sleep, thus providing much extended usage of complicated hairstyles. In conclusion, the use of headrests across the African continent highlights the shared origin and cultural continuity of Kemetic and Greater African cultures.